is modern spirituality? Is it a religion? Some would see it this way, but for most enlightened or woke people, it can be considered a religion of the self, and for some, a subjective experience that can be defined in many ways. It can refer to a person's values and meanings, their connection with their inner selves or their search for meaning. It can also involve exploring universal themes like love, compassion, and wisdom, and the idea that some people have achieved higher levels of development than others. Since 2020, we have shared our experiences with the non-physical, sometimes referred to as spirit guides, exploring metaphysics and self-development. We have been applying these concepts and attitudes for many years now. We've learned that we are more than just the physical experience, and that we are spiritual beings having a spiritual experience focused in physicality. We have made conscious choices to learn and apply self-control of our emotions, and have developed a rapport and fostering of real relationships with spiritual energies, making a choice to take responsibility for our experiences in life, and that we must take this responsibility seriously and with reverence of truth and love. Nothing is outside of you, and what you feed your mind affects your perspective. What you tell yourself becomes your reality. Peace and harmony begin with you, and those who choose discord, discontent, are making their free will choice to do so. We, as a group of like-minded beings, come to you with these shows to share those concepts and ideas and share our understandings with you, the viewer. Have you applied these new concepts and ideas? Have you put them into action? Do you realize in every moment you have a choice to choose your outcome as positive or negative experience? Have you, the audience, come away with a new perspective? Join us live for another open discussion about modern spirituality and self-development. We're curious as to what you have to say. Alrighty, everyone. Welcome to Andromeda 7, your celestial gateway, and your channel for community support, love, friendship, knowledge. Well, you know the rest. You've heard it a million times. It's good to be with you tonight. I got Theresa tmdanton in the house. I've got Core from Black Raven Meditation. Good to have you with us, gal. Thank you. I got Jasmine and Nick, Water and Fire, the Oracle and Alchemist. I love that. GB, Grandpa Brian, good to have you with us as well. And of course, Dalibor Suki. Welcome, everyone. And we'll go ahead and say hello to everybody in chat real quick, and then we'll get right into it. Scotty boy, good to see you. Missed you last week. Hope everything's going well for you. Hi, Sophia. Miss you. Wish you were here. Let's see. I think that is about it in chat for, Beloved Abstract. Good to see you as well. Welcome. Good. And, Mary Wins. Good seeing you here. Thank you for being here. Always a pleasure. Let's see, Elizabeth Bauer. All right, that's GB. That's your daughter, correct? Wonderful. Good to have you with us as well. Thanks for being here with us. Awesome. So you guys, tonight we're talking about modern spirituality, and do you resonate with it? And, spirituality is not about, some people think that you have to be spiritual to be a good person. And you can be a good person and not have spirituality in your life, and that's cool too. So you don't have to be spiritual to be a good person, is my point. So as I was speaking with my spirit guide, he wanted to let you guys know that from their understanding, from spirit's understanding, that it is a deep understanding of your inner self and a deep understanding of the non-physical, also a shared understanding of the universal laws. And they would like me to do a little refresher on those 12 laws of the universe. So we've got the number one law of divine oneness. We are all connected. 2, law of vibration. Each particle in the universe is made of energy. 3, law of action. To achieve something, one must take action. 4, law of correspondence. Outer world is a reflection of our inner world. 5, law of attraction. Like attracts like. And 6, law of cause and effect. You get back whatever you send into the universe. 7, law of compensation. You get as good as you give. So what you give out, you get back. Law of perpetual transmutation of energy. The universe keeps changing. Number 9, law of relativity. Every individual is tested by the universe. I firmly believe that. And 10, law of rhythm. Everything goes through cycles, rhythm, and pattern. And 11, law of polarity. Everything in the universe has an opposite. And 12, law of gender. All things have masculine and feminine components. And these are really the basics. This is what one of the first things I learned when I was going through this with my spirit guide was understanding these laws, because it really is part of it. So tonight, we're going to get your guys' perspectives on what your understanding of spirituality is. And I thought tonight, Theresa, we'd start with you first, and we'll make our way around. So that first question is, what is your understanding of modern spirituality coming from your unique perspective?
Whew, tall order.
Yeah.
There's so much to say about it.
Mm-hmm.
That if I can streamline it to the best of my ability, I think I explained it to you this morning. And I think it's something Dalibor was hitting on as well with his comment. But for me, it's been a life's journey, decades
Mm-hmm.
of trying to understand meaning. What's the purpose of life, and
Why are we here? What's this all
why are we
about? What's my
here?
purpose? Yada, yada. All the questions we all ask ourselves.
Is there a higher power? Is there something greater than ourselves? Is there life after death? Those were the big ones for me. And what are these things that I see and hear? Am I losing my mind? So I spent really uh, decades of study, self study, as well as organized study through university and world religions. I joined different types of churches. I practiced with the Baptists and the Protestants and the Buddhists and so forth. And I just always had more questions than answers. And I never resonated totally with them because of the structure and the dogma. I felt trapped by their belief systems. And when you ruffle feathers or make people angry just for asking a question, then you don't belong there. Because if they want to try to fit you into a certain mold or certain way of thinking, and I think these world religions evolved into what they are today because of the need to want to control the population, to get them to do what they want or to comply by instilling fear. And so, what modern spirituality has done for me is it's taken out that human fear of judgment and punishment. I was told you'd burn in hell if you touch yourself. You burn in hell if you do this, that, or the other, if you break the 10 Commandments. There were no universal laws. It was just all about, if you do certain things that they considered immoral or unjust, and you would fry and burn in the fiery pits of hell forever. And they would show torturous pictures of people being tortured in hell, and they said you will become evil demons, and you'll never, and there's no such things of, hey, Trina Bean, and there's no such thing as, and what they would do is they would put you in it got a little bit more liberal as time went on, and they'd say, well, there's something called purgatory where we take all you bad, evil, nasty little souls that did all these nasty little things in life, and we'll forever condemn you and put you in a place called purgatory where you'll do penance. And if you repent from all the bad things you did in your lifetime, then and only then will you be allowed back into the light of God, And so They created separation in people's thoughts and minds from love and light. They created division and separation through fear mongering. And it's not that I don't think people in the 3D should be punished, through our human legal system for doing certain things or be taken off the streets to keep people safe, by all means. But to tell people that their life is over and there's nothing for you in the afterlife, there's no way to gain back your wholeness. Modern spirituality teaches you about the compassion and the forgiveness and the gratitude, and it teaches you that you have guides and ascended masters that will work with you in the spiritual realm to make you whole and complete again. And they teach you about this reincarnation cycle to teach you how you can work out your karmic, energies. And it's a place of healing and peace. It's not a place to be in fear of, and you will never be cut off from divine love and pure energy if that's what you want to be a part of. But there is a place I've learned through my guides, and you have too, and a lot of you have, that you can go and have respite and work your way through your life reviews. And there's forgiveness there. It's not this doom and gloom. And
Yeah,
so that's the difference for me.
I understand. It's not to impugn religion for anyone. There are a lot of positive things about religion, so I want to make that very clear. We're not saying that, one is better than the other. None of that stuff, that doesn't come into play, but it serves its purpose for people, and I think it's a good start for people as far as religion, being a good person, treating your neighbor with kindness, that kind of stuff. That is important. But there's a stark difference between modern spirituality, the spirituality of the self, and going inside. It's different from that.
They lead you to self-exploration. They teach you that it's not up to a divine authority to punish you for something. That you have your own inner workings, your own way of accepting they teach you responsibility, and how to be responsible for yourself and the things you create and the things you think about and choose to experience. You have to suffer not suffer, but you have to understand there will be consequences and things that you do. So I think modern spirituality is really good about teaching that to people. Sharing our experiences.
Love, respect, treating others the way you want to be treated, especially yourself, treating yourself with love and respect. And that's important too.
Yeah.
Thanks, Theresa. That's awesome. Everyone, welcome Core, Black Raven Meditation, to the channel. She's been on a couple of times. Yeah, a few times, huh? She does some really good stuff on her channel. It's a fairly new channel. Core, you want to talk a little bit about what you do? There's so many things that you're doing on your channel. I thought it'd be a good way to introduce you to the tribe, so to speak.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me, by the way. It's good to be here.
Pleasure.
So the channel is kind of a montage. So I travel quite a bit. And in that, I just like to talk to people. I like hearing people's stories. I like to explore. So the channel offers sit with me. So it's people along the path that I've had, wonderful interactions with. And I, felt they have something really beautiful to offer. And I try to just highlight that.
Dalibor and Grandpa Brian have been on your show.
Yes,
we've been on your show. So yeah, what a pleasure. Yeah. And the Tao Te Ching, and you do the
and then also on the channel I just got my site put up, and Miss Jazz, thank you so much for all your help. This woman was trugging away with me for 2 hours before we got here, so bless her. And all
so you've got a website now?
So we're going to be moving all the DAO stuff over there, so we're going to get things more streamlined for everything and get things worked out. So just come over there and visit us. It's kind of just a Wild West place for metaphysical research.
Love it.
We do talks and just fun things, talk to people, and just have a good time. So
Beautiful. That's
yeah.
awesome. Well, Miss Core, what's your understanding of modern spirituality and your unique perspective?
So my understanding of modern spirituality, I would say, is heavily influenced by the Saradarians. So each Saradarian and Torquem. And through them, my understanding, it was about this shift from me to we, and then back from we to me, right? So, and I really thought that was a really beautiful message. And through that exploration of that message, for me, it came about my spirituality, my sovereign journey with spirituality, which for me is the major part of modern spirituality, like you said, is each person having that space for their own in it. But yeah, through that, I really started discovering that we're citizens, and through that citizenship, there's responsibility. And in each level of our citizenship, there's different responsibilities. So as I started kind of really taking in those studies, it became about, where am I a citizen, right? So like my temple's a citizen, right? I'm a citizen of my temple. I'm a citizen
Of the universe, too.
I'm a citizen of the planet, of Mother Earth. I'm a citizen of my home. I'm a citizen of my community, my friend groups, right? And what were the responsibilities in these for myself? Because it was, once again, it's about being in a place of self-reflection for the whole. It's kind of the whole mentality, right? So I just really started examining that, and through that, I was able to kind of just see my place and be willing and open to take responsibility for that. And then when I found myself getting really, really hard on myself, because when you start taking responsibility for things you didn't even realize were there, it can get really heavy.
Tell me about it. Oh, yeah.
So then I got really heavy into Buddhist studies. So in Eastern and throughout many different types of Eastern philosophy, Bhakti yoga, things like this, like the more devotional types of Eastern philosophies, I found a place of peace in that. So, it was a very, the journey, as I look at it, looking at myself through each stage, I was like, I'm just like a polymath and I'm all over the place. So, standing where I stand today and looking back, it's, that modern spirituality, right? It's about that sovereign taking in of these little nuggets and how do these fit in the overall picture of what we're each creating for our own ray of the path, right?
That unique expansion. Yeah.
Yes, that's a beautiful way of putting it too, that unique expansion. And to hit on, I don't know if we were recording whenever Miss Theresa talked about this, but it's interesting to me you brought that up, because I had actually wrote 5 pages on what I was going to say today and then abandoned it. And then, as I was sitting here, something from the Maharaji came up, and if you don't mind, real quick, I'd just like to read
Absolutely.
It. Please.
Yeah,
please
go
do.
right ahead. Please do.
So as I was thinking about what I was going to say without thinking about what I was going to say, Maharaji came and said, "You've already read a lot, and you've heard a lot. Now get acquainted with the reader and the listener everlastingly. It's hard to stay quiet, therefore easy to get involved in activities. You are never the doer. Things happen, and you become instrumental in these events. There is no doer and no organizer. It is all just a happening." Yeah. And I really love that being able to take a breath from it, because we learn so much along the path. And to be able to come to that presence and be like, what is my responsibility in this moment? Right now, I'm simply a citizen of this podcast. All I have to do is say this, thank you, and then put myself on mute, right? I don't have to overthink it, right?
Right.
Keep it simple, silly, as Jim would say.
Yeah, I like sweetheart a little better. I think it's a little more gentle,
but
I'm a delicate flower at times, so I need the sweetheart at the end.
I think it said keep it simple, stupid, but I like that he put silly in there. But yes, I like that too. Yeah.
So, yeah, but those are my thoughts.
Yeah, that's
Awesome.
great.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Nick and Jasmine, what is your unique view and understanding of modern spirituality? Do you,
Uh,
Nick?
We
Modern
can see you, Nick.
spirituality is a pretty broad term.
Yes.
Um, it's not just one topic, but I think it mostly has to do with the search of the meaning of life, whatever that may be to you.
Mm-hmm.
More so than just on the material realm, but on everything that is considered abstract, spiritual, something higher than 3D, whatever it means to you. The universal collectiveness, the psychic stuff, the supernatural stuff.
Do you connect to the non-physical, Nick?
Yeah. Well, it's the other thing about it is all I see it as is what was that universal? It was the universal I have it on my phone because I want to talk about it. The law of perpetual transmutation of energy. The universe keeps changing. Well, that whole little diagram of the 12 laws you showed is prime example of that, because those 12 laws are like 2 to 3 different teachings put together that are older than that. The one in my bread and butter, Hermeticism. So that's how I pick up on it.
Yeah, the Hermetics. Yep.
So that is true. The universe is constantly changing. The way I see it, as long as the same message is being brought up, that's all that matters. As long as everyone's able to connect to spirit, not turn into inorganics that takes the humanity away. As long as they keep getting those teachings to grow and have the opportunity to do so, I don't see what the difference is if I say apples to bananas. If they both mean oranges and it's supposed to be an orange, and that's all there is to it.
Okay, cool. How about you, Jasmine? What's your interpretation and your understanding of this topic, we'll say?
I say that it's more of like a calling. You know what I mean? Your spirituality is something that is it's called to you. You get curious about it and you just want to find out why. You want to find out why you're curious. You want to find out why you're different, why you have these gifts. And sometimes, although religion does have its place, but sometimes you grow out of it. Once you figure out, that there is a bigger meaning, because most people are drawn to religion in the first place because we understand that there is a bigger meaning to life, and we're just not here just because. There's meaning to everything that's happened. Those synchronicities that we talk about in the community mean something. And in the Bible or in the scriptures, it says that, God has a plan, and we're all just curious to figure out what our role is in there. So to me, spirituality is just a different way of exploring what that meaning is to each person.
So you think it's the soul's natural progression to move in that direction, to have that understanding?
Yes, and to just once you study the Bible, because I studied the Bible for many years. And then
I was curious how many people on the panel are familiar with religion. For me, I never got into religion. I don't know anything about religion. That's not my game. But I know for some people, they grew up with it and they have an understanding and a backlog of that. So
of the scriptures. I do.
Okay.
I went to like a Bible school and everything. It was really it was pretty hardcore. We even considered like outsiders and like people who weren't of faith and stuff like that. I liked it and I was drawn to it because I felt a solidarity with spirit or with God and what that means and the changes that it causes in people's lives. So I did see, and I do see how the religion or the Bible itself, because I would say religion, that's when I started making a differential between religion and spirituality, because the Bible I find spiritual. Religion I find very controlling, which is why I didn't end up staying in it. They tell you what you can wear, who you can talk to, what you can do. Like, I'm just like, I have free will for a reason. I think God, I'm smart enough to do, I don't want to do it all on my own. Of course not. Like, we still need people. And we still need spirit, but there's a reason why, once we ate from the tree of knowledge, depending on what religion you're referring to, and I'm referring to the Abrahamic faith, once we ate from the tree of knowledge, it's the tree of knowledge of the good and the bad. So we're supposed to, figure out through our own mistakes, our own volition, and our own free will, what makes us feel closer to God. And, I think Jim says there's 2 golden rules. As long as you're not hurting yourself and as long as you're not hurting someone else, then you're safe. And exploring what that means to be spiritual or to be close to God.
That's beautiful, because that's a freedom that I was talking about. And it's that when you take things literally and you take scripture, which is contemplation, it makes you think. It's divinely driven by people who want to do that exploration. But when you turn it into literal interpretations and then use it as a club to beat down others and to control others, it degrades. It does something to the meaning of what it really means to be spiritual.
Oh, and, definitely. Even so I didn't like being controlled, and I also didn't like being put as less than. So anytime I would ask questions, it'd be like, "Oh, that's not your place as a woman. Your job is just to the man." I'm just like, "What? Excuse me?"
What you talking about, Willis?
No.
The other thing that I had was that they didn't like science. Like, the more you looked into science, the further away to them you got from God. And I'm like, no, everything's so divinely intricate. Like, to even think of the Fibonacci sequence of how mathematically and scientifically and just beautiful to look at it is, and you're going to tell me that just randomly happened? No, that to me makes me think of like the forethought of everything that had to happen in order for that to stay and for that to be everywhere. It's on a shell. It's on a sunflower seed. That spiral, that Fibonacci sequence is everywhere. And it's crazy how religion, it just seems more like religion is more of a, like, they have an agenda for something. They have an agenda for everything. And I have not found a religion that does not profit out of something. So.
Now, I'm not religious. However, I am an academic when it comes to religions. What I mean by that is I will study Egyptian lore. I will study Norse lore. I will study Christian lore. I'll study Taoism and Buddhism, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I will get the bits and pieces in each culture and equip it to my skill set. That's what I like doing. I like go, hey, I like this part.
Yeah.
I can actually apply this part to my work in helping people. So we're gonna keep that bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You take bits and pieces and you blend your own belief system and understandings from that.
Exactly.
And
that's why it's your unique view.
Exactly.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Excellent. Dalibor, how about you? Did you grow up with religion as well?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I went to a Catholic grammar school and a Catholic high school, and I was an altar boy for about 4 years. So yeah, I was immersed in that, not entirely of my own will, but because of my parents. Because I come from a communist country, and over there that was forbidden. So my parents wanted to give me something that was forbidden for them. In other words, they wanted me to get ahead because a Catholic education traditionally has been associated with a higher quality of learning than state-run schools. That's the reason. So basically, spirituality is something completely different from religion. Most people confuse the two.
Yes.
But religion is just another control system. It's just an ideology. At its founding, each of them may have had a kernel of truth to them. But they became, no, not a dogma. They had a kernel of truth to them, but they degenerated into dogma.
Okay.
And they degenerated into a cult where almost every one of them will say that everybody who's on the inside is good and everybody who's on the outside is bad, right? That's the commonality of cults and a commonality of all religions and ideologies. When you look down and look deep and down into it, you'll see that no ideology has ever benefited mankind. None. Not communism, not capitalism, not socialism, not any of the isms, and the same thing can be said for any religion. Spirituality, on the other hand, that's a highly individualized thing that nobody's really in charge of. That's strictly individual, and I would define it as your relationship to the divine. What is the divine? Well, the divine is that dimension or that layer of reality that exists above that which we can detect with our senses or scientific instruments. So, and through various experiences I've had, various experiments I've conducted, and people I've known and life experiences, I can assure you that a lot of what these religions talk about is 100% for real. Life after death is real. Reincarnation is real. Karma is real. Fairies are real. Ghosts are real. It's all real, in other words. In other words, there's nothing off the table, really. So, yeah, that would be my definition of modern spirituality. And just like in the past, it used to be more of a collective thing. Nowadays, with the internet, we're moving towards individualized, personalized everything. So I think that in the future, every person will have his own religion and his own spirituality, independent of any of these big three religions or other dominant ideologies.
And it's interesting how much like say YouTube and the technology where we're at this time in our evolution, how we're able to share this information on a level that is
we never even dreamed of.
Ever been like this before.
Yeah.
If you want to look up anything about say near-death experiences or things like that, there are literally hundreds of videos and people talking about it that you can gain information from. And that's what I found fascinating. It was, a good way to just jump in and dive in to all this information. And I think a lot of us, when we get to this point, we're searching for so much of the truth. And we just get, like Jasmine said, you just get really absorbed into this whole process, and you learn a little bit, and then you want to learn more.
I think the knowledge process is definitely accelerating because, as you pointed out, as recently as 1992, when I moved to Europe and I wanted to talk to somebody in America, it cost me $2 a minute. $2 a minute. And then, a couple of years later, I figured, I could save money by spending $750 to buy a fax machine, a Panasonic KXF-150, so I could send letters, 5 pages in the time it takes to send 1 minute of text, right? So, it was something completely different. Like nowadays you can actually have a real experience with someone in real time. That's not just audio, but everything else, everything except smell. Pretty much.
So Dalibor, you really grew up with technology just
Yes,
as I
did.
did. I was born in the 60s. So we
Same here.
Our generation is kind of unique because we've gained the knowledge as it has presented itself, as it has
Exactly.
evolved.
Yeah.
And that's what's been really cool about it, because now we're using it, and here we are
We're
now
actually using it.
on a platform that just allows us a voice.
Yeah. And we were always like, my
it.
family has always been like the first adopters because we were like the first to get a VCR, right? VCR.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were like the first to get like a computer.
Set the time on your VCR. That was like the big deal. How the hell do you set the time on these things?
Yeah. It's like
figured it out.
Massive programming just to figure it out.
Well, yeah, we had everything. We had like a teletype machine at home. We had all that stuff.
Yep. Teresa?
Jasmine had her hand up while Dalibor was talking. Jasmine, were you going to add something to what he was saying?
Go ahead, Jasmine.
Yes. So with that whole cult word, right? It's not only with religion, it's also with Ivy League schools. So like that whole thing of like you have to be, it's us versus them, or like you're not part of the group kind of thing.
Divisiveness.
it will keep you close-minded and just be aware. Even within the communities like this, if they say that, you know, it's us versus them, or it's very secluded, I would be cautious of continuing, because
That's the very that's the very definition of bigotry.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be cautious. I would just get out of Dodge.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell someone what to do.
I will, because it's necessary.
Don't hold back, Nick.
Yeah.
I love that. Last but not least, let's get to Grandpa Brian. So, and you've got some really cool sounds in the background there. You're out on the porch. So
yes, I am.
Yeah, so no worries on that. But so what is your unique understanding of spirituality, Brian? And you do have a unique understanding, especially with all you do with all my relations and the area that you live in. You know, Indiana is really big on, and a lot of people from there are into this. What's your take?
For me, when someone says, you know, would ask me what religion you belong to, I would have to say religion of myself. My own spiritual path is my religion. I was thinking the other night, I wonder if I could write a Gospel of Brian, and if anybody would read it.
Your own personal Jesus.
Exactly.
Go for
it. Like they say, you know, when you go out and search for God, turn over a stone, and I am there. Turn over that same stone, and you can find yourself, because you're connected to everything. That is what modern spirituality is all about, knowing that you're connected to everything: the blade of grass, dirt, God, Theresa. I mean, everybody, everything. You are connected to everything. So
we are one, we are many.
Exactly.
Brian, when we listen to these channeling sessions, and Brian, you know this too, when we listen to the people who are under hypnosis or who are doing channeling or being regressed by a practitioner, there must be 1,000 different variations of how each one of them perceives things like how are souls created, or what happens when you walk into another body, or, you know, there's just a million and one things to talk about, and you might get a consensus without people actually knowing each other. A lot of us might have the same answer or the same vision, and so you might have 20 or 30 people all talking about how a soul is getting created, things like that. But then you also have another 150 people who have a completely different perspective on how a soul is created. And so what it comes down to is individualized perceptions of your own consciousness and what your consciousness is capable of doing. And modern spirituality allows you to explore that deeper inner feelings or experiences that you may have had in another lifetime, or even in your existing life, and what that means to you, the lesson you learned from it, or how you perceive your reality to be. No one can dictate that for you. And there might be several of us that share, Laurie and I share a lot of realities together. And I've seen you, I've seen Trina, I've seen others in some of these. But I don't adapt myself necessarily. I might say that really resonates with me, and that's part of my truth too. Or, oh, I hadn't thought about that before. I'm going to absorb that for a while and see if that's true for me too. And so I grow and expand from that. But it doesn't mean I won't be friends with you or love you because you think differently than I do on something. You know,
I actually respect that. I respect your right to have your own belief, because that's where you are on your path, and it's not up to you to influence anyone unless they want to know more about it. But again, you can there's so many ways to discover it. I mean, you have people like Dolores Cannon, and you've got Michael Newton, for example. You have past life regressions. If you really want to learn a lot about the other side, check out some past life regression sessions. Those are absolutely amazing, and they are just chock full of information of the other side. Nick,
Better yet, have one done on yourself like I did.
Yeah, I was just about to say, don't just watch other people do it. Do it yourself. There's a reason why the phrase "look within" is such a spiritual cop out. It's true. Do it.
Yeah. If you're curious and you want to know more about it,
I know spells now that you won't find currently, and I'm keeping them to myself because that's just how it is. So.
Yep. It's understandable. Delbor, I didn't know you'd done a past life regression.
Oh, yeah.
What was that about?
Twice. Just the basic synopsis. Basically, I discovered that I had 3 previous lives before this one. And in 2 of them, I was a male, and 1 of them, I was a female. In each case, it happened somewhere in Eastern Europe, somewhere in this area. Like in Bosnia, Ukraine, and Serbia, and Russia.
Wow, interesting. Cor, do you have any past life understandings for yourself? Are you familiar with any of your past lives?
Yes. Yes, I've journeyed to some of my. I don't really consider them past lives.
Right.
So
they're more consecutive.
I'm trying to figure out how to explain it in a coherent,
multidimensional.
So
it's just most of us.
What I feel like when I go into journey, this is kind of how I do the journey for myself. I'll just kind of put it this way. So whenever I go into any part of the points of awareness for which I occupy, I go in and I just ask, basically, like, take me to the place where I need to see what it is I need to see. So through that process, there have been things that have come out that I'm like, oh, wow, okay, I see why I'm doing that now, and how that, in what places I've done it the same way multiple times, yet this life I'm given a chance to do it differently. So I do it differently so I don't have to do it again next life. So that's just kind of the or next life, right? Or another point. Because if we clear a point, like my kind of understanding of it is if when the points hits, kind of whenever the universe is like, okay, we're ready to deal with this, right? Because the points are kind of going on the spiral in the weave of time, right?
Right.
So as they get to a place where they can go and they can actually connect, is when the universe is like, it's when we're like, oh my gosh, why does this keep happening? This happened 5 years ago. It hasn't happened. That's when those points are aligning. So we're given another chance, right, to kind of clean it all
break the cycle.
Right? Yes,
back around on it.
Lineage. So that's kind of my understanding more of what that process is for me in my process.
So I love your understanding. That's
that's
terrific.
Excellent. So really,
go ahead.
So really, the lifetimes are consecutive. They're actually happening all at once, where the memories of those lifetimes are always, that block of information is always there to pull from. Your ego pulls from that to bring it into the body, to connect with the soul and the body, to bring it all together. So the spirit is,
brings it into your consciousness awareness. It takes things from bits and pieces from your memory. Like the car accident out front the other day, and a woman got run over by a car, and I remembered from a previous life, from another perspective of my focused awareness and existence, certain skills, triage skills that I learned in World War II on Normandy Beach as Molly. I've told that story before. So every time, and I've had some EMT training in this lifetime as well. It's just that the way you respond to the situation, how you handle it, how you control your emotions and put your energies into the healing act itself to help save another life or to triage a person, that skill was learned in a different focused reality.
Yeah, if you wonder
So
why
it
you're
comes
good at
back.
something.
Yeah, you hear
Mhm.
it in your head what to do. Go ahead, Laurie.
Yeah, it's just that concurrent life, those lifetimes that it's my understanding that we were all created at the same time. Boom, we're all out there, but that we're all on different levels as far as our understanding and the things that we've learned from each particular lifetime. So some of us are on a little, different path, and others are still kind of learning. And so you have that term, old souls and young souls. Well, we're really all, at the same time here. It's just how much have you learned in those blocks of time that you've taken to live those lifetimes. And so that is kind of fascinating to me, because like, why am I good at this? Or why did I pick this up so quickly? And it's like, come to find out, when we do these past life regressions, and Theresa and I spent a lot of time on our own together, channeling those energies and bringing those out and understanding who we have been and how they contribute to the whole of who we are now. And so to me, that's really interesting, because I'll hear Theresa talk and I'll go, oh, well, that's Molly, or that's Trish, or that's this part of you kind of thing. And so that's really cool. We do a lot of that privately. And that has allowed us to really learn about ourselves and I
think it's very also very special, the fact that we're all here at this one particular time. Because at this time, that knowledge of all these realities is accelerating. Nowhere in the past has it accelerated as fast as it is right now.
Yes, very true. Very true. Yes. Jasmine, you were going to say something?
If I could share it real quick, one past life experience that we had, a friend of mine, she had like this tobacco stuff, but it's not like smoking stuff. It was like stuff that you smelled.
Cloves?
It was a powder. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But it wasn't like
snuff.
No.
I did think about that.
No. That sounded horrible. No. It was Hannah. I don't know what she said. It's like a bunch of like organic stuff, because she's super helpful, like into like sea moss and like all of these like plants and stuff.
Okay.
So I know definitely it wasn't like on that end. But anyways, I had this really trippy experience, because like it was just a meditation, but it was like really vivid. But in the meditation, I saw this guy's face, and I saw the armor. It was like a suit of armor, but it was blue and golden, right? With gold, it was blue with golden trim, and I could see like the stone walls, and I could smell the mildew on the stone walls. And then I saw the guy's face, and then I remember hearing myself say, "Oh, Octavius," and then I woke up. And then I was like, Octavius. I was like, okay, I need to look this up. So I looked up like the name Octavius, right? And I found a sculpture of him, and I was like, this is the guy. This is his face. This is exactly who he is. Yeah. And I showed him. He's like, Julius Caesar? Are you kidding me? I was like, I didn't know that the name Octavius was Julius Caesar. Like Julius Caesar, I guess, is a title, not his actual name. And I was like, wow, that's kind of crazy. But whether it was me or someone, or if I was seeing it from someone else's perspective, I don't know, but it was really vivid.
Well, you could have aspects of that lifetime and those qualities and things that you may have had part of that in your soul, if you experienced part of that, because a lot of famous people, you can have aspects of them, but you're not 100% from that.
Yeah, no, I wasn't Octavius. I saw him coming.
You saw him. Oh, so you witnessed that as someone else.
In the dungeon that was like covered with like the mildewy rock and stuff, and I saw him come in that suit of armor, and I saw like all the other I only saw the shadows of the army that was behind him, but I saw him come in first, and I was like, and I saw his face, and when I saw his face, I heard myself say Octavius, and then when I woke up, I remembered that name, so I Googled it, and then that's when I found the carving or like the statue of him, and because I saw his face so clearly, and then I was like, oh, this is the guy, and then I showed it to Nick, and Nick's like, Julius Caesar, like that's crazy, and I was just like, I don't know,
Yep,
Mhm.
that is
You want to hear a
fascinating.
recent crazy one that I
Okay.
learned? Okay, I would say I was around between 16 and 18. I had this dream. I was in a boat speed chase. And I was in a fancy suit. I was chasing someone with a partner of mine. And then the next thing I know, the boat capsizes and I hit my head and I start drowning, right? That's when I woke up. Well, fast forward however many years, I'm losing track. Jim, I'm hanging out with Jim, and he brings up a past life of mine where I was in the CIA and I died because of a boat crash. I was chasing someone. My thing capsized. My partner tried to save me. They couldn't. As soon as he said that, I went, "Oh my God, that wasn't a dream."
And it oftentimes does come in your dreams,
And then
and you're not sure what it's all about.
Yeah, and then on top of that, before I even got involved with all my relations, one of my teachers is CIA affiliated, and he just so happens to have been a part of that. So when I told him, he immediately realized who I was.
Wow.
So that's uncanny. That's a recent uncanny one.
Do you and Jasmine have past, and the reason I say past lives, it really is concurrent. I get that, but people understand the past life thing. Do you share past lives?
Too many.
Okay,
Too many.
That's where it gets even more uncanny.
Yeah,
I remember
doesn't it
past
though?
lives during Atlantis with her. I remember past lives of Lemuria with her. I remember past lives of like Greece with her. We are very affiliated with each other.
Yeah.
One of the ones that got the most confirmation in this life currently is one that Jim,
Army one?
yeah, Jim picked up on it, and then one of the Chesterfield teachers also picked up on it. So it was probably Vietnam era. She was my superior officer and I was a soldier.
Okay.
And she was like, to buy the books, you're going to do it this way, and I was no, screw you, I'm gonna do what I want. And eventually I stopped giving the crap to the point where I started
he went AWOL and I had to go hunt him down.
Yeah.
Drag him back to the base.
Yeah. Yeah, we've had a lot up to where it's funny because like I'll look at him and then I'll get like in the mirror, like in the mirror I would see a different version of him and I'll be like, wait, what? And then I would ask Jim or someone else about it and they would confirm it. But I think the interesting thing that we did together was that we were testing it, right? In the Bible and the scriptures, like if anyone grew up religious, you might know about this, Alabar. They tell you don't test faith, don't test God. It's not your place to test God, right? But me, being a little scientist that I am, I was like, I'm gonna test this, right?
Rebel you.
Well, you know what? That very notion goes against scripture that always says test spirit. Well, what do you think that means? It means test the unknown.
Well,
test spirit.
There's also a scripture that says don't forsake your mental faculties. That means don't be like
don't toss logic out the window.
Right. Don't just take everything for word. And there's another scripture that says don't bow down to man because man is flawed. So every time an elder or someone from the religion was like, you can't be doing that, and I'll be like, oh really? But
really, tell me why.
I was like, that goes against what God said. God said not to listen to you. So
that's right.
He would not be happy with me. But so we tested it like a scientific theory, like we had the hypothesis, like, okay, so this is what this guy told us. So we went around town and we saw like 3 different psychics or 3 different gifted people. And they all said the same thing. And we're like, what? What are the chances of that happening? Like logically and like in just regular science of that happening and them saying the same thing, that, we were in the army together, that he went AWOL and I had to hunt him down and I had found him in a bar and I'm like dragging his butt back to the So it's really, once you start diving into like the spirituality of it, and I would call it the pseudoscience of it all, there's a lot of truth in it.
I'll tell you one thing, if there was any fear of death left in my body, it's gone since experiencing the concept. There is no such thing as death.
Yeah. It's just a suit you wear. It's just something you put on. You You can't really like try it on and test it out, but you can just kind of hope that you do enough with your guides and deciding on the body that you're going to come into. One of the things I just learned that's really fascinating to me was how the soul enters the body, and it seems to be around the 4th month, and it meshes and melds with the mind, the gray matter. So you're actually two, as Beloved Abstract would say, your ego is the body and your soul is the part of you that goes on forever. And the two come together in a symbiotic relationship and join together. So it's an agreement with the body as well. And so that made me kind of realize, wow, I could have a much more appreciation for the body I do have, the body that I chose to be in, the circumstances I brought myself into for the learning, the parents I chose, just the whole thing. And a lot of people have a hard time grasping that concept that you have that much control over it, when in fact you truly do. It's all on you.
Yet those very same people will watch episodes of Star Trek and Atlantis Stargate and see the symbiont relationship between the symbiont and the host body.
Yeah.
So the soul, it could be said, is the symbiont inside of the host human body, and their thoughts become merged as one thought.
Brian,
You're
developing the ego. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Theresa. I know where you
go. With Jim and Heather and all the folks at All My Relations, have you, through your past life experiences, past life for lack of a better term, Core, your other lifetimes, have you experienced focused realities with people in your All My Relations group like Jim? Did you know Jim before, or Heather?
Oh, that's a good question.
Who you?
You, Brian.
You, did you have had a life experience with Jim or Heather?
No, I have not.
Anybody within All My Relations?
No, I have not. These are all new people into my lives.
Okay, and what about the folks in our group like Trina or anybody here on the panel?
Trina, you, Laurie, Delabar, Robert B., Mary Wins, Elderberry. There's quite a few that I've had.
Barry, definitely Barry.
Past lives with.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I do want to touch on something real quick. When they were all sitting there talking about ego. That's the thing about modern spirituality. The more you advance in this modern spirituality, eventually the ego will go away. And what will replace it is the soul and the heart space. That's where you start. We're coming from ego now. And because ego is more, it's not so much the body, but it's all about protecting yourself. And once we start moving to a true spiritual nature, we will move away from that ego and more into a soul and heart space.
Interesting. Yeah.
Fascinating stuff.
Corey. Corey, you have your...
I really liked what Beloved Abstract said about ego as the individual soul that most people talk about, the identification with the body, because, and John and I hit on this in the video we did yesterday too, there is a relative truth here. Yes, there's an absolute truth, right? That none of us will ever know until we're there.
Right.
Regardless of what we think
or
we know.
We'll remember.
We'll never know till we're there. Yes. And we'll probably remember once we get there. So, that it's just the mystery of it, right? But there's a relative truth, and that relative truth is the ego. It's not a bad thing. It's why we're here on this podcast today. It's why we have the experiences we've had, everyone. It's why we eat food every day, because if I didn't care about this individual identification of Corey, I wouldn't care that she ate. I wouldn't care that she took a shower so she could smell nice when she's next to people. Not only would I be hurting myself, but I'd be hurting you, not to take account of the responsibility in the citizenship of my ego. Right?
That was sweet.
I really love what Beloved Abstract said, because I 100% I agree with that completely.
Yeah.
And use your terms. I know your terms. I know my terms aren't the common nomenclatures. I'm here with you.
There's so many terms that kind of mean the same thing. I'm here with your
mutual understanding, so that's where I'm at.
But we understand that it's not really the past. It's not really
right.
I mean, it is, but it isn't. It's convoluted, okay? It's just convoluted.
That's a good way to put it.
Too funny. So I have one last question for you, because I like to do the 3 questions. So how do you use it in your daily life, Theresa? Your modern spirituality. How do you use it on a day-to-day basis?
Oh, wow.
What are some examples of that?
It's like breathing to me.
Second nature?
Yeah.
It's kind of a default.
It never used to be. Yeah, it's become it's just who I am. I've become so self-identified with it. I use my spirituality is part of who I am now. It's part of how I express who I am. I dream it. I experience it through dreaming. I experience it through meditation and visions. I experience spirituality when I'm out in my gardens doing my gardening, or when I'm interacting with people in the supermarket. I mean, it's just become an interwoven part of my very being. Because this has been a time of reintegration for me, where I have been given the opportunity, or I have seized the opportunity, to understand all those different aspects of myself, and the core value that each one of those experiences and aspects has brought into the bigger picture. And so I've come to a full realization. I've circled back around now, folks, to the realization that every angelic that I'm in contact with, every version of myself in existing realities, there's nothing that isn't me. It's all me. And I was following for the greater part of my life, at least 5, if not 6, almost 6 decades of following belief systems that didn't allow me the opportunity, or didn't encourage me to explore those aspects of self. And so now I don't see anything outside of myself. Forget the whole alien beings thing. They might be just another form of energy that I identify as angelic energy. I don't know. Forget the little elves and fairies I've seen from time to time. They're just another energy aspect of nature, or form of the natural parts of myself. So every one of you is a reflection of me too. And so I learn from your reflections in this now, but I also have learned from you before as part of my own soul group and soul family, which is just all energy. So to me, what spirituality has done is it's brought me back to full circle of really understanding what divinity truly is. And that is me. I am divinity. You are divinity. And so I apply it to how I communicate to people now, how I respond to certain situations that used to be not so great responses, that didn't serve me well or serve the people I was working with. I think I'm a better person for it. I'm more comfortable. I'm more cheerful.
I think you are.
As Trina said last week's show, she sees a softer side of me now. That's true, because those of you who've known me for the past 7 years, you know what I'm capable of. And a lot of that is gone now. Okay?
Yes.
A lot of that
Yes.
is dissipated.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've grown.
You are not who you used to be. You are
Yeah,
choosing
I'm
who
just-
you want to be now. You are
Yeah,
exuding
it's a
that
choice.
with everyone you come in contact with truth,
Yeah.
love, and dignity.
And I'll read something to you real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Just real quick, because
Sure.
I didn't know you were going to ask this question, but it's right here because we are so, Laurie and I just, I know Jasmine understands this, and Nick, we are so in tune.
Mm-hmm.
We know where we're coming. This is the old Cherokee tale of two wolves.
Uh-huh.
And I think Jasmine or Hannah shared it once before. One evening, an old Cherokee elder told his grandson about a battle that goes on inside of people. And he said, "My son, the battle is between two wolves inside of us. One is dark. It's full of anger and envy and jealousy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies and false pride, superiority, and ego. The other is of love and light. It is joy and peace and love and hope, serenity, humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith." The grandson thought about it for a minute, and then he asked his grandfather, "Which wolf wins?"
Mm-hmm.
The old Cherokee simply replied, "The one you feed."
Yeah, the one you choose.
So that's what this spiritual quest and journey means to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I support and appreciate modern spirituality. And there might be certain aspects of it, certain practices that I don't deal with. And that's okay. They're just not my thing. Mm-hmm. But there are many things I do with working with crystals and herbs and sound and light and Reiki, remote energy healing and things like that I resonate with. Other things I don't resonate with, but you might, and that's okay.
Right.
So,
do you think light is imagination, Theresa?
It just is. It's what allows us to have imagination. To me, light is energy.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a perception of it in different arrays that we as humans can see. Mm-hmm. But on a spiritual level, we can see so much more because I've seen it myself.
Yeah.
Through spiritual eyes. So I think light is the tool that enables us to be imaginative and creative.
Yeah, there you go. I like that. Very good. Core, how about you? How do you use it in your day-to-day life?
Spirituality?
Yes, I know it's kind of a broad, but it allows you some wiggle room.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the thing about it for me, I guess, is, I feel my spirituality. I feel everyone's spirituality is always top notch, exactly where it's meant to be. So that's why I don't focus my work there. I focus my work more on the human, because my human is the one who's always given me problems, never my spirit.
Right.
So it's we're actually saying exactly the same things. We're just kind of we're saying it from a different network.
Perspective. Yeah.
Yes, it's just different words. So neither good, better or worse. It's the same thing. It's just from a little bit of a different place. So spirituality, using spirituality every day for me, as from the mutual understandings that I stated to begin with, that responsibility is being able to be so present with myself in these places of citizenship, that I can just be, right? I don't have to project or try to do anything in it. Like, I always love the wolf in the Cherokee thing. I love that. Whenever I started studying Taoism, they actually have a white snake and a black snake, and they talk about the snakes. They're always a nip away from each other's butts, just a nip away, right? And they talk about us residing in that place between that nip. right? So that we're not feeding either one of them. We're just able to be. And for me, from my background, where I've come from, the only thing I want to do is be of peace. And however that resonates out, I'm here for it. And for me, that's me. That's the way I just embody God without having to convolute it, because I'm very good at convoluting things. Like I said, I came from a very energetic background. Neurotic is a word that was very commonly used for myself, towards myself, and from others towards me, because I have that tendency. You give me a subject. I love Delabor will tell you, he gives me a subject, and like 2 days later, I have like all the things that are of relevance. I'm back, and I have a whole new idea, because I get like that. So yeah, just keeping it simple to me, and being able to, once again, understanding I'm a citizen here, and when I'm done talking, I can just take a breath, go back to my silence, and I don't have to do anything with it.
Right. I love that. I just absolutely love that. That's cool. That's awesome.
That is cool.
That's what I
Thank
got.
you, Core. Thank you, Core, for being here and joining us tonight. That's really cool. Nick, how do you use it in? How do you use modern spirituality in your daily life, or your sense of spirituality?
Well, to start the day, I have a ritual. What I usually do is I let my intuition pick out what colors I want to wear for the day. And then based off of whatever my intuition picks, depends on what type of stones. So today I wore red. So I had dragon, agate, I think this one's red carnelian, and then I had some Buddhist beads that I got from Las Vegas that are red and black, among a couple other things.
Nice.
So that's how I started. Usually there's a ritual. You want to develop a habit.
Whether you're journaling, meditating, the
only way you improve in something is if you practice it.
Practice. Yep,
that's right. Like a muscle, you got to practice it. You got to use it.
So then after that, when it's very mundane, stuff's getting on my nerves.
Change it up.
I practice mindfulness.
Oh yeah, I feel that one. I'm right there with you.
That my thoughts create reality. So if I want to go my way, I need to start thinking differently. Because everything starts mentally.
Yes.
And before there was light, God had to claim there was light.
You ever tried dancing it out, Nick?
I usually sing very, very loud.
So much I dance it out.
Yeah. It's not so much what I'm singing is the message, and it's more so the volume.
Yeah. I love that. Jasmine, thank you, Nick. Anything else?
And then once I'm not doing the mundane, once I get put into a space where I can start doing my woo-woo magic, like when I'm doing Reiki at group or whatever.
Woo-woo is true.
Yeah. That's when I start getting into what I call the flow state or the zone or whatever, and it's a healthy reminder for me to remind my ego self that you're not crazy. This stuff is real. You're practicing it right now, and you're actually helping people with it. Not only other people, but yourself on top of it.
I believe when you do good things for people, you have an energy that actually exits your body and shoots up into the ether and adds to the light.
Yep.
So each time you do something good, that little ball of energy, that goodness from you just emanates into the universe. It actually exists on its own because it's the goodness, it's the light.
Oh yeah. You would probably laugh if you saw Jim and Sophia's reactions to me, because I'm gonna say it right now. I am not rainbows and sunshine origins. I am from down under, even lower than down under. I am when the void existed and nothing was divided. That's how low.
So you're clawing your way back.
Yes, I from my past lives, I've noticed that I do this stuff blindfolded just to prove a point. Because all dark and light it's the same thing. It's literally the same thing. The dark can transmute itself into the light of the light, and the light can transmute itself back to dark.
It's just a choice. Too hard. For me, it's a choice.
Yes. It's goofy that we play such a division game, and one of my personal goals is to get everything back together like it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In
Wow.
balance.
Yeah, it's a very chaotic story
Mm-hmm.
that I couldn't cover on just one episode.
I feel you. Thanks, Nick. I always love hearing your perspective. I really do. It is quite fascinating. And Jasmine, too, I'd like to know yours. How do you use modern spirituality in your everyday life? How do you apply that? What are the concepts and ideas that you really resonate with, and you apply those each and every day?
So it's kind of like Theresa said. It's a daily thing. I used to like to think that it was only when I was practicing that it was that I had to actively participate. But the more I learn, it's more of like, no, it's not just when you're actively doing something. It's every single day, all day, because then you'll start noticing how like you'll start noticing your thoughts, and you'll start noticing your own patterns, and then you'll start wondering, like, are these my patterns, or is someone messing with me, or is this the energy that I'm picking up from someone else? Is this so from when I wake up, I intentionally start with grounding, centering, and then sealing that, so that way I don't pick up on other people's energies or even animals or what have you, because then my whole day will be like a roller coaster, because I'll be like super happy because of someone next to me, or super sad because of someone next to me, and it gets exhausting. So it's an everyday, all day thing to be grounded, centered, and shielded, but also just picking up on your intuition, like your gut thing of like, no, I probably shouldn't talk to that person, or no, I probably shouldn't go down that road, or you know what I mean? It's just because it's
intuition is powerful, and it really is the soul speaking to the body, in my opinion.
Yeah.
When that happens. So are you going to listen to the highest aspect of yourself, or are you going to listen to the ego?
Right. Well, sometimes my ego wants to keep me alive, and like my ego keeps my self-respect. You know what I mean?
What's best for you in any moment?
Right.
Which way are you going to go? Whatever's best for you in that moment, for your highest good and the highest good of those around you. Would you agree?
Exactly. So it keeps in mind like the way I speak, the way I treat other people. Like it's just a very mindful way of walking life. And modern spirituality is more emotionally provoking than just being told what to do, because at this point it's your own conscious decision, and it's your free will that you're practicing, and that's all it is. It's just you're practicing a way of life.
Right. Yep, I agree. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Jasmine. Appreciate that. Dalibor, for you, how do you use it? How do you use modern spirituality in your everyday life? Do you practice?
I would say my spirituality is an indivisible part of my personality, or of who I am. So, there is no separation between the two. I basically live my life according to my ideals, and that means, as far as daily ritual goes, I start off my day with a barrage of herbs, vitamins, and I absolutely eschew all chemicals or artificial or poisonous substances, such as sugars and the like. So, and then I end each day also with a different ritual consisting of a specific barrage of herbs, herbs and vitamins, and that sort of thing.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
Cool. And for you, Grandpa Brian?
For me,
how do you use it in your daily life?
Well, it changes every day. It's what I need to do to make this day the best version of me, which could be many different things. So, one day it may be, okay, I need to get grounded because there's something going on that I just need to ground myself. There's other days that, it's all about coming out of that heart space and sharing your love. It's just whatever I need to do that day to put out the highest version of myself.
I love that. That's excellent. Well, you guys, we've come to the end of the show. I want to thank everybody on the panel for joining us tonight and expressing these ideas and opinions and understandings uniquely. I think it helps people watching to kind of help self-discovery and that self-help and learning more about who they are, and we've kind of are setting an example of how that is done. And I think that's really important for our audience. And it'd be really great if you guys are learning something or you have a comment, please leave a comment in the comment section and let us know how this has been affecting you. And are you getting anything out of it? And I see a lot of the same people coming in, so it must resonate with many of you. So if you would, please let us know what that is and how does that serve you? How do we serve you, and all that good stuff. So on that note, I just want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you, everyone in the chat room. Greatly appreciate you being here. It's good to be back. We've enjoyed that time off, and watch for the trailer. We'll have something next week for you. And until then, just peace, love, and joy to everyone. Make good choices. Show love to others. Be love. And, be love and truth. And be the best version of yourself you can be, as Grandpa Brian says. I believe I am at this time. I think Theresa and Core and Nick and Jasmine are, and Dalibor and Grandpa Brian. So thank you very much, everyone. And enjoy your weekend. Okay?
Thank you, Mad Chatters. We love you.
Yeah. And we'll see you all next week, I hope. And peace.
All right. Bye-bye.